right.
Why would it be this one?
Hello. 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 Hello.
Slower.
Right.
Slower. But
This
I
one
think
works though?
Yeah.
it works, but it's just not a volume adjustment.
All right. Looks like we're live. Hey,
Yeah.
guys.
Sure.
Thanks for joining us. We got Georgie for like 15 minutes.
Yep.
18 minutes.
Hey, George.
Hey, how's it going?
So we're back here after the back in the coach's office after the CrossFit Games 2022. The title of this one's the 2022 CrossFit Games. This changes everything. I thought that was an appropriate title. Had a great time. Had a great week.
Same.
Yeah, were you guys? You went too? Yep. Georgie was there. Sam was there from the gym. Josh came. Adam showed up from BPN. It was fun. It was very enjoyable.
I was not there. Just being poor and at home, just watching on the internets like the rest of the civilians. But it was the first time I watched in 2 years. So shout out to Boz and the team. I mean, legitimately off break, I was like, yeah, I think I want to watch the first event. And I was like, oh, I think I want to watch the second one. And then I watched the whole thing like it was 2015 again, 2016 again, maybe even back like 2013.
The events were very interesting and very fun you wanted to see what was going to happen. Like how CrossFit was in the past. It was always like, oh, I want to see how this event turns out. I want to see how it goes.
Yeah, like I was miserable.
Didn't disappoint.
Like my wife hated the games weekend because it was like, no, I will be watching every second of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday competition. And that had stopped in maybe like 2020, 2021, and then it's back now. So, you know,
What made you change?
I think that's what this podcast is gonna maybe uncover as I verbally process with you. I'm
Okay.
not sure. I really don't know.
All right, so you want to talk about that? I want to talk about the programming for sure, and then Georgie's spectator side of it.
I'm with JB on a lot of that. I said this was the most exciting games or most engaging, exciting games since 2015 for sure. And then I think even 2014 may have had more fun stuff, but I didn't. 13. I didn't attend in 13. I've been to every game since 2014, except for 2020, of course, which no one was at, but that was snooze fest, 5 people. Exactly. Why would you want to watch that year? It was just kind of like, I liked the cut scheme this year. I thought down to 30 was sufficient. I don't think it needed to go any lower. Let people play. They
it was great. Like if you're 30 through 40 in the last day, you're probably not going to factor in too much. You could, but probably not going to. It's just to make their job a little bit easier on the logistical side.
Did they have a 30-person event on Sunday where all 30 went?
No, they did heats of 10.
No, on
right?
Sunday, it started with alpaca.
Oh, the whole field. Yeah. So that one did start with.
Yeah, which was cool because you could see literally where your entire competition was when you're out there.
Mm-hmm. But I think they could have done a whole field of 42 for that event. But they changed it up with the legless rope climbs at the last minute. They didn't add those in. So.
But the vibe and some of the events just sort of harken back like things that pop in my head that were cool back in the day, like the killer cage, like things that you saw once that you never really saw again, the burden run, or when they did like burpees over like the huge wall, or even just wall get. I don't know if they did burpees or they just were getting over the wall. What year was that? I think that was before.
I think 14.
I think it was earlier.
We've done it a couple times.
But stuff like that where it's just
13 maybe.
I think you mentioned it. We were talking about it earlier, and you're going to mention it, where it just seemed like the last few years things just kind of got stale. It was just the same stuff mixed together. Maybe we add a little bit more weight to these Olympic lifts. We just made this workout a little heavier. There's one new element.
Yeah, and
whole games. Yeah. So people will argue that there might have been too new stuff, too much.
Too many new implements. I think I'm going to have to go back and look, but I think there was like a new thing, time domain, movement, judging, the way they judged it, the standard changed in every event. Like something new in every event, which was a lot of change. Like that was a lot of really new stuff. But for me, I loved the programming. I thought the events, like if you look at them all individually, I thought they were fantastic, right? But then if you put them together, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. They were front loaded to be heavy on the gymnastic side, and then back end loaded to be like really heavy. Like it went really heavy, and it was a drastic night and day switch. Yeah. So like, I don't know if that was planned or what the idea was with that, but it definitely was more gymnastics and then more weightlifting, or not even weightlifting, just moving weight.
Right.
So it did change throughout the games, but I really liked the way that it turned out. I think it was a good test. It was fun to watch. It was fun to coach. It was fun to just fun to be there and experience it again. It seemed like it brought back those old memories of like, all right, here's a brand new implement. Let's learn how to use it in the warm up area, and not just like a new barbell or a new, a new lift or something. It was like something completely brand new, like that you had to just kind of.
Or calling like a sandbag of cheese curd and being like, we're doing, this over a hay bale. And that's not a shot. It's not meant to be a shot. Like, it was actually new. And so.
Because there's so many things. There's so many things in CrossFit that you could do. Yeah. That's like, this seemed to like just refresh everything. Yeah. It kind of like, it leveled the playing field a little bit. Like, okay, we have to get better at all of these events, not just really focused on like machines, or really focused on a barbell, or really focused on like a handstand walk. Like, it's like, okay, we're gonna really change the game and see what we can add in. Like, I was joking, I posted on Instagram today about the human flagpole. Like, I was joking, like, this is 2023, this is the way that's gonna go, right? But like, seriously, they could do like a back lever for time on the rings. 100%. Not a front, like, back lever is a little easier, but like something like that, where most of the athletes can do it. But it's like finding the correct way to test a new movement and have it easy on the judges.
Right.
Because as a programmer or somebody who's thinking about it, you have to think about your judges. You can't just put your judges on the spot. And like, I'm going to give the example of that handstand push-up workout. I loved the handstand push-up workout. That might have been one of my favorite events of the weekend. Like, it was so good. Maybe my second favorite. I'll go over my first favorite in a minute. But the handstand push-up standard was awesome. Facing the wall makes it so that you have to do a better rep, right? You have to do it. You have to load up a handstand push-up the correct way, and having the blocks there so that you had to lower your body away from the, or your head away from the blocks. Like, it was perfect. Gymnasts do it that way.
I think I understand what he's going for by not having anything to touch. They didn't want it. They want to take away the bounce that a lot of people rely on, hitting their.
He said it was like somebody squatting. Somebody could go all the way down, or somebody could stop at parallel.
Right.
Same, as long as you break parallel, like, that's what they were trying to go for.
Sure.
And I get what they were trying to go for, but I really think it put a lot on the judges.
Yeah.
That was unnecessary. They didn't need to do that.
Do you think like what they did for that ring dip that one time could have sufficed, where it was like an elastic band?
That was
right
a good
across
idea.
And you just see it move a little bit, and you're good, because hair doesn't move it, but enough of it you're going to see the movement. That could fix that right there, because I did that workout with you yesterday, the handstand push-up workout. Ben finished in 840. I finished in 1840, just to let you know my level of fitness. And but midway through the workout, I went, I really don't know if I'm doing these well.
Yeah, you couldn't tell. It was so hard.
They were close. I would say I probably had 20 good reps, 10 bad reps. And not intentionally, like, that's not the cliche gym, rep shaving, person. It's just it was hard. Like, no joke. If you go and do that workout, it was hard.
Yeah, and you can. I programmed it for the gym today.
Yeah. If you work out at CrossFit Krypton, or you follow the affiliate programming, you will be doing this workout.
Yes, which I think you could.
I'm excited. I'm doing it later.
Yeah.
But I agree. That was the first thing that crossed my mind. Cut a deeper hole into the block. Have something that you can just stick in there, like a slack line or something, where all the judge has to look for is that contact for the women, for the guys, like two different settings.
I said have like a 4, 5, 6 inch foam pad,
or something
really soft,
Yeah.
that if you laid on it, you would go further, so it would be a
So,
disadvantage.
exactly.
So like, but it's easy to see that you touched it.
Right.
Not that hard to.
People
to
on
do.
the internet judges are already, critiquing, or this person's reps weren't good already after the fact, and it's like, why? It's not that person's fault. They don't know the depth that they're going on this necessarily on this movement. This is not like an air squat.
We would have to
where
practice it for a little while
it's not
to
like
know
an air
where
squat
we are.
Where we know where our range of motion is, or wall ball where we can feel it.
It's just because it's new.
So if a judge is going to say it's going to keep counting and let you go, they're just going to go thinking they're hitting depth. So again, it falls onto the judge.
Yeah, and you don't want things to fall onto the judge. Like, you want to simplify it as much as you possibly can. So I love that they're throwing in new implements. That was great. It's just a matter of finding the right way to judge it. Because you find the right way to judge it, and you find the way to test it, the right way to test it, and the right way to judge it, and the right movement combination. Like, this opens up doors that we haven't been in a long time.
Yeah.
You know, like very, very cool. Like I'm excited to get back to training and give to Laura and everybody that trains with us all of the new stuff that we're going to be doing. Because we do a lot of this stuff, but like, okay, if this is the direction that they're going to go, we can start adding in we can play around with a lot of new things that we haven't gotten to play around with in a while. Because I'm like, okay, well, let's do a yoke carry, but let's do it once. You know, like let's just do once or twice before the games. Let's just touch up on it, like, or L sits. Like let's touch up on these L sits, but you know, we don't have to really focus on the game.
What I think a little bit of this is going to get to is whether you need to be creative now. You need to be creative because it's not just going to be a repeat. And I think that's what Boz is kind of getting at. And he said it, and he's done a multiple different little podcasts and stuff, is like, people should be playing with things in the gym. The affiliate owners shouldn't be afraid to be testing out new things and trying out different elements and various ways, implementing them that they haven't done.
Yeah, and we've been so stuck in like this boot camp style workouts where you're just trying to get like this high intensity interval training in or whatever it is.
You know, or okay, we're just going to keep drilling, working on getting our snatches and our clean and jerks heavier, stronger. We lose connection.
What's going on?
Well, it is raining.
Are we good or we stopped? Let's just keep it going. It'll be glitchy, but whatever.
Yeah, it's still going, so it should be all right.
Okay, well, I love that they tested new things, and what I will be most interested in is to see what next year and the year after looks like, because I think it will take next year and the year after to figure out what the direction is that Boz is going to take it. Because like this was fantastic, but it's like, okay, is he going to do all of the same movements next year, or is he going to do
I don't think so.
I know, is he going to do a whole different range of movements next year?
I think that he's going to keep people on their toes. I think that that's what this game showed, is that he's not afraid to throw a whole bunch of stuff at the athletes and see how they handle it and see what they can do with it. And I think that next year we see more of the same. Might see a couple of the same ones back out there. Maybe they're able to tweak out some of those judging discrepancies and kind of square those away. But I think he continues to throw things out there in a way that people haven't done them. I also I just kind of want to throw out there before I have to go too, that the way it started and the way it progressed, like you said, the heavy gymnastics and then sort of more the endurance, longer events, and then ended really heavy. I just liked watching different people wear the leader shirt throughout the weekend. I really did. It was exciting.
It was new.
Watching Roman live was super fun. He was, for captivating, I guess is a word. Like, he was really into it. He was so happy to be there. You could tell. So I was sort of rooting for him on the side too. And then of course Ricky Garrard coming back, you know, his fitness is there. You can't really, people are going to hate for mistakes, but
it was impressive holding on to it for that long.
Yeah, exactly. I honestly, sorry, Justin, I didn't think he was going to come back and do it, to be quite honest.
He scrapped.
Yeah, he did. He fought for every last win towards the end and placement towards the end. So it was exciting to watch.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. I agree with you completely. What's going on? We good?
Yeah, we're fine. There's a little, there's so much we can talk about. One of the comments said something like, "Are you worried about this becoming a little too gimmicky?"
See, okay, and so I think
that's a great part of a SWOT analysis. If you're gonna say, "Hey, here's your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, whatever," is a threat to games programming gimmicks.
What was gimmicky?
Nothing was gimmicky
about this games.
Nothing.
Right.
Hammering a stake into the ground is gimmicky.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So nothing was gimmicky this year. Is there that opportunity obviously exists. In the past, what was gimmicky? The cheese curd. But that's also a shout out. I think that was more of a shout out to Wisconsin and something they pride themselves in. It was the first year. It was in Madison. It was like, hey, here's a shout out to the cheese curd.
I had cheese curds this year for the first time. They were actually really good.
They're so good.
Yeah, they were like mozzarella sticks. They were delicious.
You know, so
yeah, they were so good.
They're so good.
Yeah, they've done. I mean, I guess I liked this year. I didn't think it was gimmicky at all. I thought it was actually really good. There were some judging standards, like we talked about, that were difficult. But outside of that, I thought it was really, really interesting, new. Fresh test.
No, I think gimmicks are like
hammering a stake into the
overly
ground.
overly sponsored things like, hey, we're gonna do we're doing monster rope climbs or something on a monster rope or something like that's gimmicky to me.
Like the stake and the banger things
Yeah.
too. To me, those were like
Clang and bang.
Yeah,
was
when you
kinda
hit the
gimmicky, whatever.
the banger or whatever you call it.
Just because there were ways of cheating it, it was difficult to measure that kind of thing. Yeah.
But that's again the same thing. There's that with every kind of new implement thrown out there, or even movement. There's always ways to sort of cheat the rep, and that's you gotta. I don't know. It's always gonna happen. I think.
Yeah.
In a workout or two. I don't think there was too much poor judging all around, or too much.
No, there were just a few events where it was like, okay, it's kind of make it easier on the judges.
Mm-hmm.
Like the dumbbell squat snatch ladder for 6 reps. That workout was probably, if I'm going to critique one, I didn't like that one very much. The 20 wall balls with the 6 dumbbell squat snatches, and then what was it? Run to the finish line. That was it.
Yeah, that
was it.
That was it. And then you got your accumulated time.
Time. Yeah, it makes it hard where it's like.
I know something.
Yeah.
Else, sorry. Something that really got me. And I don't know if anybody's talked about it, but I know that I kind of saw it, and I know Sam saw it there. Is your athletes on the sprint and jerk or the shuttle to overhead? Yeah. You had platforms that were staggered. Mm-hmm. You didn't have start lines that were staggered. Mm-hmm. The start lines were even for the run time, but then you had an extra,
an extra 10 or 15 feet.
Yeah, and okay, so that's 2 to 3 seconds. One jerk.
Yeah,
that's one jerk around, especially if you're a strong athlete, which typically if you're the bigger, stronger athlete, you're going to be a little bit slower on the run. So now you're in a deficit for both. Your runs are a little slower, and you got a longer distance to go to your platform, which would have meant, I probably would have got a jerk or 2 more if I had that earlier one. And they didn't care. They're like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, even like if I'm programming the Krypton games and I'm thinking about, and it's just a charity event for fun, and I'm like, no, we got to make this even. We got to stagger the lanes so that this is fair, so that everybody's going the same distance. Like,
yeah.
No, you're right.
You're right.
That one was one.
That little irked me just a little bit because 3 reps, even if you're talking about one jerk each round, 3 reps made a significant difference on that.
Oh, absolutely. It's a good point.
When you're talking about reps that started at 17 at the most and went down. Mm-hmm. So that one really bothered me that they didn't seem to.
That one was so new. That one was very, very different. Very heavy.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the double pyramid Helen with the max jerk afterwards back in 2012 or 11 or 10 or whatever it was. Yeah, I mean people were strong.
I love events like that because I think it's the most accurate sort of test. See you, George.
Thanks, Georgie.
Yeah.
See you in 30 minutes. So like a thing in basketball growing up, like what you always did was you would end your practice typically it would be some type of conditioning. And conditioning always sucks to a 15-year-old. Like no 15-year-old's like, ooh, conditioning, this is what counts. Like, like me personally was run. You would have to run. We ran Sweet 16s. It wasn't baseline to baseline. It was sideline to sideline. And you had to finish in under a minute. And then you had to make 2 consecutive free throws. As if you were at the free throw line at the end of the game, as tired as you possibly could
that.
Be. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, that's
like that event.
That's the test.
Yeah, right.
CrossFit's
like done that a lot, yeah.
And I think that's a brilliant test at the games. Mm-hmm. Absolutely brilliant. Because you should be implementing that in some way at home.
Yeah, maybe not like that loading or that. Like you can't test yourself like that.
You can't test yourself like that at home. But you can prepare to the best of your ability. Mm-hmm. And that's why you should follow the blueprint. Like that would be the... Like if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I want to go to the games. I want to be good at the games. I want my gym to be better, whatever it is. You should get on. If you're not programming, if you're programming, you're like, I'm kind of good at this.
Or if you just want ideas. Yeah. That was what, like the biggest thing of why I did this, why I still put it out is like people can use it to take ideas from me. It's like that's why that's what I love doing. People used to put out their programming online, and it was like I just would grab this, and I'd put it into my program of what I wanted to do, and then I'd develop whatever I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like it worked on things that I needed to work on. But now I can share some of the things that I like with everybody else. So that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to do it for. But yes, the testing under fatigue, doing into like a 10 or 15 cal bike sprint into a heavy clean or into a heavy jerk or something like that. You can test that in practice. We do stuff like that.
Yes. And I think, all right, so here's the most charitable thing to analyze the entirety of the event. Maybe it was, so fun to watch because it was new. I knew Dave wasn't programming, so I wanted to see what Boz did.
Yeah, you're interested, sure.
Sure. Maybe that's one of the things that piqued my interest, whatever it was. However, that's charitable to Dave. Like, in the sense of like the comparison game or whatever you could do. I like thinking back on it now. Like, I'm actively verbally processing with you. That swim ski event is classic CrossFit. That's CrossFit. That's pukey CrossFit.
That was a ski event, but yes.
That
wasn't one of my favorites.
It's not that it was a good event.
Yeah, I loved that they went to the pool.
It's the nature of the test.
Yeah.
You
build like a little bit of a base for a while, and then you have 4 minutes of just all out, see what you can do, see who was the most efficient athlete up to that point.
Correct.
Like I told Laura before that event, I said your workout starts at the whatever it was 12-minute mark. The 12-minute mark. Round 6. Your workout starts at the 12-minute mark.
Yeah.
Up to that point, I want you to try to use as little energy as possible to get through the work and still get like 30-ish seconds of rest, and she did it perfectly.
Yep.
But she didn't try to win the first couple swims. She didn't ski super hard. Like I was like, you are trying to be as efficient as you can up to that 12-minute mark, and then you are racing. Yeah. And it's like, when I do workouts like that, I love workouts like that because you can just kind of warm up into it.
Exactly.
Right? I train like that a lot if I'm like at home in my garage or whatever. It's like I'll just warm up into an EMOM, and then I go max effort for the last 2, 4, 6 minutes, whatever it is.
Right.
We do a lot of that training, but you feel good because you're primed for the movements, you're warmed up, you're not max heart rate, you're not riding that red line, and then you can see who can send it at the end. It was actually, I did like that format. I just thought it was, if you're going to take all of the athletes to the pool, why not test the swim just a touch more?
Sure.
And like, great, they did test the swim. Like people that swam well still got off and had extra time on the ski erg.
Yeah.
But like you do another round, I think Laura catches the girls on the ski. You know what I mean? She finished third. But like she was skiing 100 to 200 cals faster than everybody else, so she could make it up. She was a good balance of both and finished third.
You could do this max effort, like punish them. Like this is the games. Punish them. Rest 5 minutes. 500 meter time trial.
In the water, yeah.
In the water. Test the swim.
Sure.
Test the swim at your most tired.
Sure. But see how this kind of opens up avenues where you
opens
can
up all of the avenues of just punishing people. Like, and I love the pool was back. When's the last time you swam in a pool at the games?
12.
Trivia question.
12, 14, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was a great event.
Matt Chan was still competing in CrossFit then. Like, what?
Long time ago.
It's been a long, long time. And granted, I like the open water swim. I like hearing Boz talk about, hey, when we were in Carson and we had the Santa Monica Pier and we were like, let's use these implements to swim around and we're going to feature these things. That's awesome. Like,
personally, I think they should do an open water swim and a pool swim. They test running so much. I think the athletes are good enough and efficient enough in the pool. And you saw it this year. Yeah. That they can do both. They can do 2 tests. Yeah. And you can combine those in so many different ways. Like, it doesn't have to be just pure swim a test. Like, it can be like they did, ski and swim or swim and sandbag or whatever. They could do a swim into the Capitol. You know what I mean?
How did you do the swim bar muscle? It was swim bar muscle up, right?
There was singles. You would do one at a time.
How did you hold on to the bar?
There was some tape on the bar.
It wasn't like
they
remotely
had no, they had some stretch tape on the bar. It was actually pretty good.
All right.
Nobody slipped off.
What the... But
nobody slipped off. It was good.
Man.
But
keep going on your side.
I think they should do 2 swims. I really do. I think they can. Why not, right? But I think all the athletes were, even almost every team athlete finished the swims, like got to the last 2 rounds of the swim.
Right.
I don't know if that was his intention to try to knock out swimmers, but they didn't really knock out anybody. I don't think. Maybe like a small handful, but the athletes are really efficient at swimming, and I'd love to see them test that a little bit more in a little bit more broad domains.
Concept was good.
Concept was great. Loved it. They posted a main site workout that I thought that day that was harder than the games workout. It was the burpee, EMOM. They could have just done a death by in the pool,
right.
and I thought that would have been a really fun test too.
Yeah.
But I don't think they had enough time at the pool that day, and schedule wise, you don't know how long the death by is going to go, so you'd have to kind of play that by ear. And I think they want to have everything planned out, so
right.
they'd have to leave a window open for it, but just take some extra planning. But if we can talk about my favorite event,
okay,
was you want to guess?
I want to guess it, but I would
maybe the best games event they've ever done.
All right. Talk about something for like 30 seconds. I'm gonna not listen and try and think.
You're not gonna. I'm just gonna talk about what event.
Oh, don't do it. Favorite event
of all time. The best event they've ever done. I think not only because
oh my goodness
of the place that it was, but that they used their surroundings for the event, but it combined so many different elements into one event and ended pretty dramatically.
Tell them what it is.
The Capitol.
Yeah.
We did it on Monday. So the gym, I programmed it for the gym. Something like it, a smaller version of it. It wasn't the whole thing because it wouldn't fit in an hour class.
Tell the people why.
So the Capitol workout was 20 pig flips with the same pig that they had the years before, the heavy one, right? So 20 heavy pig flips into a 3.5 mile run. They run to the Capitol, which is like the centerpiece of Madison. It's like, I was thinking about it. They used to build cities that way. They would build the Capitol, and then everything else was kind of surrounding it. And it's like the city really wouldn't be the city without the Capitol building. It wouldn't make any sense. But this city is cool because it's designed all around that one big building. To the Capitol, and then they pick up 200-pound sandbags in their hands, like if farmers carry it 200 meters, drop the sandbags, up some stairs too, by the way, like there's a couple flights of stairs, and then they pick up a 200-pound sandbag, carry it another 200 meters, but before they get to the bottom of this Capitol stairs, like Rocky Balboa style, like going up these stairs in Philadelphia or wherever he was, you have to drop the bag, pick it up in the front, and bear hug it, carry it up like 4 flights of stairs to the finish line, maybe 5 flights of stairs. It was a lot of stairs. And they finished right at the top of the Capitol. And, you know, all the people that were on the street watching, it was really cool because that day there were a lot of people like, we were running around the Capitol trying to find the right spot, and people were there and like, what's this? What's going on?
Right.
And I heard people and they were like, this is CrossFit. And I was like, yeah, it is. Right. You're right. This is CrossFit.
Yeah.
Classic CrossFit.
Oh man. And even it was fun to watch. Like super fun to watch.
Yeah.
Dude. And here's my only complaint. And this has always been my complaint, CrossFit wise.
Mm-hmm.
It's just impossible. It was like, how much more gangster would it be if they had the proper footage of Laura doing what Laura did during the event?
What Laura did might be the most impressive thing I've ever seen an athlete do at any CrossFit Games.
And nobody knows.
And nobody knows about it.
They have no idea it happened. Like, at all.
She was like third, I think, off the pig flips.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 athletes that were ahead of her. I don't know who they were. Maybe Amanda Barnhart and one other. I'm not sure. So she was like third going out the door, right? And then I had to drive to the Capitol to get there. And when I got there, I pulled up my phone. I couldn't see her.
Drove?
You know, I was like, yeah, from the venue because we were at the athlete warm-up area, and then I got in the car and drove over to the Capitol, right?
That's
so. Sweet. And then I was like, couldn't really find her, and it took me like she wasn't in the main pack or in the front pack. There were a couple stragglers in the middle, and then I found her back, behind. She was like 12th, 15th, something like that.
She likes to run.
She loves to run.
Right.
She just kind of fell back a little bit, right?
Well,
and
they were flying, and I think obviously that was intentional too. I think they were like, hey, we might need to run a little faster because the rest of it's going to hurt.
Right. And then they all kind of start piling up on the last 400 meters, which you have to carry 200 and then carry 200 with different objects. And she picked up the jerry cans, unbroken, 200 meters with 70 pounds in each hand. Like, just that in and of itself is crazy hard to do. So she passed. I just saw her coming around the corner. I think when Tia came around the corner, who else was there? Mal came around the corner. All the guys came around the corner. I saw about a 50-meter stretch that they were coming around this corner, making the U-turn about halfway.
Yeah.
like, for example, Tia put the bags down 4 times.
Right.
Where I saw, like, 3 or 4 times.
Catching bodies. She put them down after, like, 20 steps.
They would do 20 steps, set it down.
Yeah.
20 steps, set it down. The guys were even worse because it's 100, and it's a little heavier, right?
Yeah, no, it's heavy.
The guys were stopping on the stairs. People were having to, like, Spencer Panchik had to, like, go around people. They were, like, getting in the way and everything. And then Laura picks them up, just runs by everybody, like, past 5 or 6 people there, 7 people maybe, something like that.
Right.
And then ran around after that to the other side of the Capitol to see the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of up at the top. And I think Haley and Tia were, like, I know Haley was at the top of the stairs, like on her last 10 stairs or something like that. Laura, I'm looking down, Laura just drops her sandbag to put it in the front rack, right, to carry it up. She's at the very bottom and ended up passing everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Went unbroken on the carry. I think she was the only one that did that, all the way to the top of the finish line. I lost my voice screaming there.
Dude,
it was
that's
awesome.
Absurd.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And even you describing it, I know people will listen and be like, maybe. No. Everyone put it down.
Everyone. Multiple times. Right. Like, it wasn't even close. Like,
nobody even remotely went unbroken.
She went from, like, 15th to 2nd in the last 3 minutes of the event.
Just
like
amazing.
A kick like no other. It was very cool.
And also, that just goes back to well-programmed events. Well-programmed events benefit well-trained athletes who know themselves and their capabilities to
and
the point
can
where
play to their strengths.
Can play and understand how to move through an event appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's special. Like, being able to know how to move through that event appropriately is special at, a 40-minute event, and also knowing how to do it by a death by event in a pool, and also knowing how to do it on, the alpaca, where it's like, oh, no, it's go. Like, none of this will slow me down. And it was just so fun. Like, it was super fun. It was super fun seeing all the rookies. All the new girls competing is so fun. All the even the guy side of the competition was real fun, which it was fun, like altogether fun.
Yes, agreed.
I think it's a big deal. I think it's a big deal for the sport. I think it's a big deal for the future of it. I think it's a big deal for the next 10 years, like, for sure.
The fact that they were able to pivot like that and still put up a test.
Guarantee you
that was one of the best.
I guarantee you all revenue increases for CrossFit across the board in every way. I bet you the affiliates that open after this games increases across the board. I bet you participation in the Open in 2023 increases across the board. All of it.
Yeah.
Every metric.
Because it was
HQ
like
is going to
they really refreshed the way that they test things.
Yeah.
And I hope this carries over into the level of, like, the regionals.
Yeah.
The Open might be the same. That's fine. But, like, as we get closer to the games, they should start implementing tests like this. Like, start thinking outside the box. Start preparing the athletes for the games when they're at the regional level. Like, it's okay to throw in something that's different that you've never tested before at the regionals.
And that was a little bit of my take that during the regional debacle. My take was the games is meant to be so special, and because it has to be, you have to be able to test the best and legitimately make it unknown and unknowable, right? Because that was like the tag, like unknown and like, or unknowable, whatever it was, to where you're like, oh, I've never done this before. Batter up.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Let's see how well my training carries over to this new thing.
Right.
Because if you train classic CrossFit,
yes,
and you are playing around with all of these implements, when they throw a new element at you, you should still have the capacity to perform it well.
Right.
And to adapt on the fly and know yourself as an athlete and be athletic and be intelligent and all of those things. Like, that's where a coaching role actually might come in handy a little bit. Someone who has had experience doing movements like this, or being able to play around with things like this and give some advice or something like that would be helpful. So that was cool. I was happy that I was able to add in a few, pointers for Laura this year. It felt nice to be able to help out.
Right.
Not
you weren't just a
bags,
caddy.
not
You
just
didn't
carrying
just
bags.
carry bags. That was
the alpacas. We called ourselves the alpacas. So
Yeah, that was my. That was my thought. when I had to sub in that one year, I was like, yeah, bro, I'll carry your bags. It's like, hey, you ain't come and do this. I'm like, you just need me to carry your bags, right? Like, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the there's a
lot. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, but
it's important. It's really important. The programming as a story. Did you like it?
As a
think
story,
it told
you
the
mean
right
as
story?
a whole?
Yeah.
I think the story was, this is new, this is fresh, this is something different. You should be training in all of these other domains that we haven't been in a while. Yes, like my brain was just the whole weekend just going like, I can't wait for next year.
Right.
And I haven't had that in years.
Yeah.
Like it's always been like, oh well, all right, I'm going to spend another 10,000 hours on the rower this year. Like,
right.
That was what was needed to be done to get better at these things next year at the games that were going to come up, because they did every year, and that was what I was bad at. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'm going to go spend another hour every other day on the bike, or something like that. It just seemed monotonous to me.
Yeah.
But this makes it so that there's all of these new movements. Let's bring all of these back.
Well, the spectacle
Figure
of
out how to
watching
test them.
someone row, a marathon.
I don't even just mean that. I mean like they were really going it got stale. Like it was the same types of movements, the same types of rep schemes.
Right.
The variations weren't big variations. Like there wasn't a lot of change in the movements.
Right.
It was just like, okay, let's bike and row and run at the same time or something like that. Like there wasn't anything new. It didn't even itself out very well. The tests were, skewed a little bit one direction. I thought they did a great job, and the story that they told was fantastic. If you ask me, like you said, I think it's going to grow. It will project CrossFit on the right path, hopefully for a few years at least to go. And I hope they build on it and build some momentum in the right direction.
Well, how many new things do you have to actually be ready for? There's a thing that I'm very good at in the gym for you specifically, like for our friendship, but even like for the gym and just competitive CrossFit wise. I, for some reason, have the ability to tell the next like absurd hard iteration of something. Like, hey, you need to start practicing strict pegboards. Mm-hmm. It's obvious that it's coming. Mm-hmm. It's like, no way. They would never, bam. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was spot on.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying this in March. I'm like, yo, get good at this.
And why would you think that? Because it's like it's a slight progression.
Yes.
But it's not out in the weeds. It's not out in left field.
Right. Not at all. It's not like, hey, get good at doing pegboards
backwards, upside down, or something.
Exactly.
Like something stupid.
Right. And there's certain things like that where it's like, no, that's super fun for the next year of programming.
But it makes it fun to train too. Like
yes.
you're waking up, like you come to the gym and you're creative again.
Yes.
Like it's not like you feel like you're doing the same things all the time.
100%.
I mean, they only had a barbell in 2 workouts?
Yeah, that was the
final and then one other one or something.
Yeah, where I was like, man, it is always fun to see a heavy barbell, but it was perfect. The heavy barbell showed up on a block this year. Hadn't been on a block before. Mm-hmm. I rocked with it. It was great. Mm-hmm. Like I was trying to pick my brain last night of like, man, let me be ultra critical, and I couldn't.
Yeah. Everything that came out, I was like, cool.
Dang.
Let's see. Cool. Yeah.
It was in a place I didn't expect it, in a way I didn't expect it.
Yes.
And like you throw it over the top. I took my wife on a date on Saturday night. We got home right at 7:30, right when my twin daughters usually go to sleep. So we could put them down, and then we come back out into the living room, and instead of like cleaning up the house, 30-minute process, unwinding, whatever it is, we turn the sandbag event on.
Cool.
We sit down on the couch, and then it's 10:15, and I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like sucked into the experience on my couch.
That event took a while.
3 hours, dog.
Yeah,
3 hours of
just straight sandbag,
unadulterated.
Heavy
I want to see the next person go.
Yeah.
At no point was I like.
Georgie said that it was like the most interesting event she's watched.
It was absurd.
Yeah.
And it's maybe because it was so archaic and caveman, where like I felt like I was in the woods watching, my homie back when I was a kid try and pick up a log. It was like, I could pick that fallen tree up, and walk it over or whatever. And you're like, no, you.
That's a good way to look at it.
Every single person did it. And, and then it was like, it told so many different stories. You had the person that struggled to get it up. You had the person that was phenomenal at getting it to their shoulder. You had, and then everywhere in between. And then it was girls.
Almost flatten yourself with it. The suspense of like what's going to happen.
Yeah, like,
are they going to break their back?
Yeah, somebody going to like throw a disc or something.
Oh,
like,
I was nervous about that.
Like all this. And for me, I'm like, F it. Like, go for it. Like, I care about you, and I know you can do this safe. And also, bro, try to pick that 300-pound sandbag up.
CrossFit posted a little video about the definition of strength. And I just saw the definition of strength, and I assumed what they said in it was that if you're strong, you're able to apply force in all kinds of a variety of directions
100%.
With the different types of objects. I just assumed it said something like that because that's what CrossFit preaches.
Yeah.
Go back and learn what CrossFit preaches. Right. You will understand what they are going to test and the direction that they're going. I think that's why you can see kind of in the next progression of things or where they're going. That's why I was always able to help kind of like view of what's coming next and, be able to be competitive year after year was because you kind of have to be on top of it, know what's coming next, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I even like the way that the bike was implemented this year.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about that? Because, and here's my critique of the bike events. In the past, they were cool to watch. They weren't cool to watch mediocre CrossFitters do them.
Well, I mean, it was implemented with movements.
Like the crit.
Yeah.
Fun.
I loved it.
You would love to compete in it.
Yeah.
But as far as like, I'm like, no, I want to watch a master ride a bike through a crit course.
Mm-hmm. And let me see a CrossFit athlete combine that bike race with a few other things.
Right. Yeah. Like, like how many people are comfortable on two wheels to the point where they really understand how to use a bike and leverage what it can do on the street at certain speeds with
a handful of CrossFit athletes. Very few. On one hand,
like,
probably.
So I don't know. That's my critique of those old events. Where this one was like real straightforward. It's like, bro, this is straight. Ride this bike.
Yeah. Can I harp on one more thing?
Yeah.
The skipping crossover double under, the crossover double unders.
Okay.
There was a couple comments about it. So my brother CrossFit Games asked Alec to go test these events for them, right?
Really?
So he went and for like 6 days or whatever, he went and he tested the events, and he didn't tell me any of the events.
When did this happen? I didn't even know he went. So
yeah. So anyways, he went a couple weeks before. I think he went to Rogue and they tested some of the events. And the event with the crossover double unders. So after each night, we were staying in the same room, and we would talk in the evening about the events and the ones that had gone that day.
Right.
And that after that just crossover double under, he was like, all he said was nobody's going to beat my time in this one. He did it under 1:30, that last crossover double under round. I don't think Nobody finished in like 3 minutes, right?
Right.
No, 2 people finished, yeah? Right?
Guys?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, 2 people finished. 2 people got through it and finished. I think 2 people finished. The girls, nobody finished.
Okay.
That event, the crossover double under thing, it's not new. It's nothing new. Like, you should be able to learn it in an hour or two.
Easy.
They gave you an hour to learn how to practice it. Like,
I've never done one. I bet you I'd do one in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think so. But with that being said, it didn't make the event look poor. It just made the athletes need to adapt to the situation better. Like, 100%. It's nothing new. There were athletes, like Fikowski was over there just like crossing over all day doing them. You put him in the heat. Laura could do them all day, right? She smashed us in those workouts that she had the crossover double unders in. Right. But she didn't get to go into the last event because of a judging garbage mishap thing on the round before. We can talk about it in a minute, but yeah, I thought it was super interesting. I'm glad they did those and not triple unders.
How come?
Because everybody's expecting triple unders.
Okay.
It was just something different, something new. More
I
like a double under.
No, I think I like your critique of that. No, that's good. It was sort of the same thing as a pegboard, the 2015.
Yeah, throwing in a new pegboard. Like, half the people had done them, half the people hadn't done them.
Right. And then you just watch people miserably fail over and over, and you're like, oh, I don't like this. And it's like, no, you should like this.
But then what happens next year?
With what?
Pegboard.
Oh, they smash it. They bring it back. Everybody can do it. Everyone. And
that was one of the beautiful things about the CrossFit Games. What they did was they tested, knew, waited, test it again.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a year or two, or maybe not. Maybe it was the next year.
Right.
But there was normally some time in between, and then they retested it.
Yeah.
And then you saw how far the field progressed. It's like about It's about bringing the field beyond what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And this game's just opened it wide up. So like we could go in any of 5 different directions.
Like legitimately, one of the thoughts that I like the most that I heard, I don't know where I saw this, maybe it was Hill or maybe somewhere else, but having to come down the rope, the legless rope climb,
yes,
up and down,
yes,
genius.
You better believe that event's coming. Maybe next year, the year after, it's coming.
You want to you better be ready because that's hard. That will crush you.
Mm-hmm.
We've
done them before.
Yeah.
We were doing them leading up to them. I was practicing some touch and go legless the floor.
One of your go-to workouts. I mean, I've done this with you 3 or 4 times where we've done that up down.
Just touch
50,
your butt
40, 30, 20, 10 with push-ups and legless rope climbs, just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But leading up to the games each year, I like to train those legless, and I like to be able to do 2 touch and go from the seated position to the ceiling, back down, touch my butt, and go again.
Yeah.
At least 2. We try to do more this year. I think we're playing around with see how many we could do, or you just go to failure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much harder lowering yourself down like that, and
so hard.
But to change it up like that on the fly on the field at the CrossFit Games, when you're super stressed, wanting to perform the best you can be, if you don't know yourself, if you don't have confidence in your abilities, you're done. You're gonna get burnt out.
Yes.
And it would have been really cool to see that, but they're definitely coming again.
Mm-hmm.
But just knowing that he had that in his back pocket, that's cool. Like, all right, they did some really cool tests this year.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to critique them. Like, people are saying it's gimmicky or whatever. I'm like, nah. I don't think so. I think you've just been around the wrong CrossFit for a few years.
And the most charitable. All right, so you've been around the wrong CrossFit for a few years, and you need to add in the thought of like the unknown. That's just the tweak that makes something exponentially harder that you should be able to do. For instance, if you can walk on your hands, what does walking on your hands mean? Does it just mean going in a straight line?
It can mean a lot of different things, I guess, but it just means that the ability to be upside down and have the body awareness to be able to stabilize yourself.
To do what? Yeah.
To balance.
To balance?
Or to walk.
Or to spin in circles.
Go around obstacles. Or to spin. Do you see what I mean? You can change what you're trying to do.
It's like, hey, enter this box and spin 3 times and then exit the box.
What can you do on your feet?
Right.
It's like, okay, let's try to do the similar things on your hands.
Right. Are pistols gimmicky?
I don't think so.
No. They suck. I hate them.
Yeah, I hate them too, but I get why they do them.
I do too.
They test mobility at the same time that they test strength and coordination, your ability to balance, all of those things. It's like, they suck, but kind of necessary to test.
Right. The hand release push-up was gimmicky for a second, but it's not. It actually allows me to teach middle schoolers at wildlife camp when I'm there watching the CrossFit Games this past weekend how to do 100 push-ups when they've never done push-ups before.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Immediately, and everyone knows they're doing them to the same standard. And so they're all like, chest to the floor, get your hands up.
Yeah, get your hands up, right?
Thing. And it's
it makes the standard the same.
It was so fun watching them do that, like just 10-1 with some middle school dudes, before we go to sleep.
That's cool.
Like, hey, get Diesel, this is fun. Hand release push-ups. Take this with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, really simple. Yeah, here's your introduction.
Right. So simple.
Whatever it might be. Yeah. Throwing. Someone commented throwing. I love it. I think throwing's super functional. Depends on what you're going to throw, though.
Right.
So.
I like.
But
I've actually thought of a few events where I think throwing would be like you can make it fun to watch and make it a good test.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 30-pound med ball, 40-pound med ball, and you go between the legs over the head, and it's like you're going max distance. That could be one. You could go side to side. Boom. That could be one.
You could do a shot put.
You could do a shot put. You could do javelin. You could do one of those gigantic swing that.
You better believe I was throwing
around.
shot. I was throwing shot and javelin for years before the games.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yep.
But it's like, if that would have showed up, how many people would have complained this year?
You're
you know how many people would have complained in 2012? Hardly any.
Right. You need to be ready for it.
Mm-hmm. But I love that this is just throwing it back.
Yeah.
I love
throwing
that it's
weightlifting.
Weightlifting and throwing in the same category. That's interesting because more people would put weightlifting near like the nutrition side now.
Yeah.
On the pyramid. We're looking at the hierarchy, the pyramid
hierarchy,
here.
Right.
Throwing is in there with weightlifting. That's interesting. I mean, you technically are throwing a barbell around, but yeah. Yeah, interesting. They could definitely do that, and I do think it's just as functional as anything that they tested out there, for sure. Yeah, shot or javelin would be cool. You want to talk about Laura? We talk about Laura?
Yeah.
The comeback. I posted a video on my Instagram because from this one guy.
I wish we had
Did you see
recorded
it?
our conversation on Saturday night when I called you, or when you called me.
You want to recap it?
So,
Saturday. Okay, Saturday night or Friday night.
So we talked Friday night and Saturday night.
Yeah.
And Friday night. So Friday night, we talk, and I'm like, hey, I don't know if your head's down at all, but it shouldn't be. Because everything is lining up in my mind. Everything that's left that I haven't seen yet makes me think she's going to win 6 events in a row. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I think, like we're staying positive or whatever. It's just really hard to do that currently when a lot of this is sort of judging, having to do 28 pistols on one leg during a speed event, like just
26 pistols on one leg.
Yeah, and those are the things that people don't see, and they're
because of a judging. Sorry, just because of a judging error. Right,
and it's like, we're processing and we're sorry, and I'm DMing Laura and we're talking, and it's, hey,
I get it. It's happened to me.
Right,
Judge. I've had Judge miscount my double unders by 75 reps.
Right,
it's like literally 75 reps, and then apologize afterwards.
Yeah, and so dealing with the psychology and the frustration and just the mental fortitude it took to make it from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then at the end of Friday being like, hey, I'm sorry this is the case. However, you either come out and do your best, like you either still compete because you're not actually out of this, or why even continue?
This is what I told her. I said we have 8 events left.
Yeah.
800 points at least.
Right.
We don't know what's coming.
Right.
And I said, this is that point, right? You can pick to go one way or the other kind of thing.
And you have to. There's no other choice.
It's not what happens to you that matters. It's how you react to it. And she was tough as nails. You know what I mean? Like, didn't phase her. She kept a good attitude through the events that she finished poor on.
Yeah.
And for people listening, like, you have no idea how hard that is as an athlete. And she just was straight Terminator on those last 2 days. Like, it was really cool to watch. And yeah, it was sweet. Her goal on Sunday was 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was and it was possible too.
I know.
Like,
it was right really there.
Possible. It was fun. It was fun to watch her grit. It was fun to encourage her. It's fun to see what happens. And then it was really, really fun to know how ready she was and see what the tweaks on those early events did to her.
Yeah.
Like and actually there wasn't anything. The only thing that was the hard thing for her was actually just hard for everyone for the most part, which is those handstand push-ups. Mm-hmm. Like, she already has a hard time with them. Fine, cool, whatever. Get better. Mm-hmm. But just the judging discrepancy, the depth discrepancy. Laura pulls her hair back, boom, like super taut. Like, does Laura get, like, if she's got a little poof, is that a good rep? That's a silly thing.
That event is what it is.
That's a super silly thing. But I didn't. What was your observing that last day? Like, when you're seeing,
I told her, I was like, the last 2 days showed how far ahead of the field you were.
Okay.
You need to know that.
Right.
Like, it was very clear. I mean, look at the alpaca. I haven't seen an athlete beat the field like that maybe ever.
Right.
That it looked like she made everybody else look like.
But Ben, the legless rope
they
climbs,
didn't have the legless. She would have done even better.
They weren't in it.
I know. I got a comment. Someone commented that on to me, like private messaged me that, and I was like, you have no idea. We've been practicing those all year. Like she would have just finished further ahead.
Right. It would have been more embarrassing.
I'm like, you know, she's a climber, right? Like a professional climber.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, you forgot that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She'll hang on to that rope. The rope could be 40 feet tall, and she'd smash.
Yeah, it's crazy. But, anyways, I hadn't seen anybody dominate the field like that in an event. It was crazy. It was such a short event, and she beat everybody. But next person was Danny, like a minute behind. Next person was like 40 seconds behind Danny. Like, that was nuts.
And that was really cool too. Just those back-to-back events where they went 1-2, 1-2.
Yeah,
I was like, man, that's so fun.
Yeah,
like too, just to have both of them here. What do you think about the Terminator side of that Saturday, Sunday? In the comparison side to the rest of the field, where it was like it really looked like she was ahead of everyone.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to jump from whatever she was 15th to 3rd in 6 events, like, I mean, hopefully that shows her the strength that she has. You know what I mean? Like, I think that boosted her. Like, she was happier with this finish this year than I think she was last year, finishing second and dominating. You know what I mean? Like, by a lot. Like, the grit she showed and like the ability to bounce back from being in that position she was in and mentally stick through that, like, it showed her something. Like, I'm fired up for her next year or two.
Yeah, like
it's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah, the
like, this thing's a journey, you know.
The obvious nature
process
of how much better she is undeniable. Like, I'm curious if all of the talking heads in this space still ignore it. I'm just curious, because it's easy to ignore because she's not going to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's not going to give you what you want.
Right.
Like, at all. So, like, you have to be satisfied with talking about this, like, sort of like this ghost CrossFitter that shows up once a year that's the best of the best.
That you better be watching for.
Yeah.
And if you're not watching for, that's to your detriment.
100%.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see her next year, year after.
Yeah, what did she have any like surprising things? Like, were you surprised at all in any of the feats she accomplished? I mean, the Capital one is obvious.
The Capital one, I was so fired up from that one, the Capital event. I mean, that one, and then the Alpaca event. I mean, she did her first 10 kettlebell clean and jerks, and I was debating on walking back under the warm-up area and be like, yeah, she won it, and I would just walk away. Yeah. Like, you could just tell. Yeah. Like, I just knew right then and there, you know.
Right, you know it's over.
And then even the last event, like, going into that last event, she was laser focused. Like, warm-up area, I'm like, I don't even need to say anything. She's like, no, this is going to go great. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And walked out there. I don't even think she put her hands off the barbell for the 50 thrusters.
Dude, it was wild.
10, drop the bar, roll it forward, pick it up.
It was absurd.
10, drop the bar, roll it forward, pick it up. I was like, phew. And then she went 11.955 or 11.964 on the bar muscle ups. Like, she's cruising.
No, that's
it was
really
like super impressive. Like, super, super impressive. And
if you didn't do that workout yet, by the way, at home, you need to. Like,
I think,
put a time cap on it for yourself. Let's say you're not very good at bar muscle ups. Let's say you can't do a bar muscle up right now. Put a 20-minute time cap on it. Row as fast as you can, or set a legit, you know, if you're a guy, maybe do the girl's time. If you're a girl, maybe add 30 seconds to it or something. And then do your thrusters, the 95.
It's not that gimmicky. It's just, let's change up the stimulus. Let's make you go hard in the beginning. See who can still continue to push through at the end. Again, you just got to enjoy suffering. You want to train for the CrossFit Games, you just got to enjoy suffering.
Yeah. And
you have to have that mindset of like, I'm going to go hurt today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hurt in as many different elements that I can figure out and put together in an intelligent way. In a creative way.
Do you remember the event? I don't think she did well on this event, but it was also like another like weird. It was a 3-stage event where they jumped over 3 different things. It was like 3 different.
The muscle up, yeah.
Did she do well on that event? I can't remember. I don't think she did. It sticks out in my mind.
Oh, I think she did okay on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was wondering about the leaping thing. That one was another.
It's just a lot of jumping.
Yeah,
it's just a lot of jumping. Yeah. So, I mean, there's athletes that are good. Again, it was one of those. You're a little bit lighter, like a little bit smaller. It's going to be much more beneficial to you on the muscle ups and on all the jumping. It's like just is what it is.
Yeah.
She still did really well in that though, so she still moved through it well.
Yep.
That was early in the competition too, so yeah. I don't like to play the what if game. Like there's
For
all
sure.
these what if things. Like she should have won that double under crossover double under one, because if she gets there, she finishes
Right.
and nobody else did.
Right.
So things like that changed the weekend, but I wouldn't change how it went. I think it was perfect for her. I think that comeback was historic.
Necessary. Yeah, it was historic.
But it was necessary. It was necessary for her on her journey that she's on.
Yes. Agreed.
She will dominate the games.
Nice.
I'll call it now.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. That was a great 2022.
That's right. Shout out to Savan for everything that he did doing. I really appreciate the coverage that he did.
Yeah, it was cool. He did it from his home, huh?
It was so cool. Like what he did was impressive too. So that didn't go unnoticed.
I'm going to be doing a little Instagram challenge,
Okay.
I think. I'll talk to you about it
All right,
as soon as
great.
we're done, but I'm going to probably start it tonight, so be on the lookout for that.
Dope.
It's for everybody. I just want people to get back to the basics.
Ooh.
So we're going to change up some stuff and maybe do a little Instagram challenge to see who follows it and who can do it. And,
Let's go.
Not who can do it, who will do it.
Yeah.
Everybody will be able to do it
Right.
of some format. So, yeah, we'll try it and be on the lookout for it.
All right.
Yeah.
See you guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Dude, I had no idea it's 5:15. Oh, Julian's probably so pissed.